Hostiles launched a cruise missile. Team deathmatch. Hostiles have destroyed the enemy.
You lose.
Hostile counter UAV overhead.
What's your buck?
Hostile mortar strike in the area.
I'm switching mags.
Hostile
one.
is active. Hostile UAV overhead. We're getting hit hard. Hostile UAV in the sector.
Changing mag.
Watching your six.
Mission failed. Return to base.
I just want to do a quick update for you guys on the best settings for Season 2 Reloaded. We're starting here under the graphic settings under quality. As always, make sure render resolution is set to 100. For upscaling and sharpening, I am personally using Fidelity FX Cast. It makes the game just look so much more sharp and makes it much easier to see enemies, especially at long distances. And then I click show more here and I adjust the strength to 75. Now what this slider is doing is adjusting just how sharp Fidelity FX Cast is making your game. So this right here will be personal preference. If 75 looks too sharp for you, turn it down a bit. If it doesn't look sharp enough on your monitor, then turn it up a bit. But this setting is kind of a performance hog. So if you're not getting the FPS you're looking for, you could try switching to something like AMD FSR. Either 1.0 or 2.0 will work. And this will give you a huge boost to your FPS, but you will be sacrificing some visual quality to do so. You could also use NVIDIA DLSS, although I have experienced AMD FSR giving better results in terms of FPS. So I would recommend trying those options first. And then for anti-aliasing here, I really wish there was an option to turn it off. There still isn't, but the best option currently is to put Filmic SMAAT2X and then put the anti-aliasing quality to normal. You do lose a little bit of FPS by doing this. Ideally, you'd want to put anti-aliasing to off or to the lowest settings here, but you get a weird film grain effect in game on walls and stuff that can be very distracting, and it overall just hurts your visibility pretty significantly in my opinion. So I'd recommend putting these two settings to normal and Filmic SMAAT2X. Video memory scale, I do have this turned all the way up. Now if you are experiencing a lot of stutters or anything like that, you could try turning this down a little bit. Moving down here to texture resolution, I have this set to normal as well as texture filter anti-strop. Both set to normal, and then nearby and distant level of detail, we have both of these set to low. Clutter draw distance is how far away the game will actually render in clutter, like a rock or a tree or something. So in theory, there might be a person hiding behind like a rock at distance, and if you have this set too long, that rock will appear in the game at distance and you wouldn't see that person. Whereas if you have this set to short, the rock won't render in at long distance, and then you might see that person hiding behind it. Particle quality we have set to low. Particle quality level we have set to normal, and then bullet impacts turned on. Persistent damage layers turned on. I know I'm not going super in depth with all the settings here. I will do that when the new season comes out. I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on the best settings for the mid-season update here. Shader quality, we have this set to low. Isolation is turned off, and then terrain memory I have set to medium. On-demand texture streaming, we want this off so the game isn't downloading textures in the background that could cause some lag issues. Streaming quality I do have set to normal. Volumetric quality set to low. Deferred physics quality off. Water caustics off. And then shadow map resolution, we have this set to low. There's really not much of a difference in terms of FPS going from very low to low, but there's a pretty big difference in quality of how the shadows look. So I'd recommend using low over very low. Screen space shadows we have turned off. Spot shadow quality low. Spot cache I have set to low. But if you are experiencing a lot of stutters or hitching in your game, try setting this to higher ultra. Particle lighting set to low. Ambient occlusion turned off. Screen space reflections off. Static reflection quality low. Weather grid volumes low. And then we have NVIDIA reflex latency turned on here. And then depth of field, world motion blur, weapon motion blur, all that in film grain turned off or all the way down. This is just going to affect visibility significantly. You don't want any of those on. Moving over to the view tab here, I personally play at 120 FOV. I know field of view is generally personal preference, but I would argue that you should be playing at a field of view over 100. Anywhere between 100 and 120 is going to be good. It just depends on your personal preference. And then ADS field of view, it is very important to have this unaffected, as it's going to make your visual recoil just significantly lower, although it will appear more zoomed out when you ADS. So that could be a hindrance when you're shooting people at long range if you're old like me and you're going blind. Weapon field of view, we have this set to wide, as well as vehicle field of view here. Third person camera movement, running around perspective, so you're not getting that in the game anymore. But I mean, I have it on third person ADS. First person ADS might be better, but I couldn't tell you for sure. Now moving over to display, I am playing on full screen borderless, so I can tab out and everything a lot easier when I'm streaming. Playing in full screen can give you a little boost to your FPS and will give you lower input lag, but the difference in input lag between playing full screen and full screen borderless in my experience isn't really noticeable, but the few FPS difference would be beneficial. But keep in mind, playing on full screen borderless is going to lock my screen refresh rate and my display resolution here, so you do got to make sure these are both set correctly in the NVIDIA control panel if you do want to play on full screen borderless. I'm sure there's people out there who are playing on full screen borderless and they changing to hit a target frame rate, which you would select here. You don't want that because that is just going to destroy your visual quality. Aspect ratio we have set to automatic, and then VSync in both the menus and gameplay, we want these turned off because this is going to introduce a lot of input lag. Although it can fix screen tearing issues, but man, the input lag with VSync is pretty bad. Custom frame rate limit, I have it set to custom, and then click show more and change gameplay custom frame rate limit all the way up to 300. That way it's basically like I'm running unlimited in game. And then menu custom frame rate limit, I like to set it to 120, so that way the menus are still a little smooth. And then out of focus custom frame rate limit, I mean, some sort of really fancy TV that can handle HDR really well. I will say though, if you do get an OLED monitor or play on an OLED TV, HDR on this game looks gorgeous. But you do need to be on Windows 11 to take full advantage of HDR, because there's an app on Windows 11 called the Windows. Absolutely gorgeous when you tune them correctly, with the downside being that you have to use Windows 11, but I am getting used to it. Now let's move over to the interface settings here, and under color customization, I would recommend you play on filter 2, set color filter target to both, and put the intensity for both interface and world up to 100. Backing out of color customization here, we're going to be scrolling down to the color customization here, we're going to be scrolling color filter target to both. And put the intensity for both interface and world up to 100. Backing out of color customization here, we're going to be scrolling down to the vertical and horizontal heads up display, otherwise known as your HUD. And you want to turn these all the way down. Now, what this is doing is it's squeezing your HUD in. So important information like your mini map, your teammates in the bottom left is all closer to the center of your screen. So it's much easier to see. If you're playing on a smaller monitor, this might not be an issue and you could probably leave it at a higher number. But if you're playing on a bigger monitor or a bigger TV, then this is very important to turn all the way down. The only downside to turning your HUD down like this is that notifications for airstreaks and cluster strikes and stuff like that are going to appear directly in the center of where your crosshairs are when you ADS, and that is definitely something that is very, very annoying and needs to be fixed in this game. Scrolling down a bit more here, we have center dot turned on. This basically just adds a center dot to the center of your screen, right? And that center dot is always there, but when you turn it on, this allows you to set the scale of the center dot so you can make it bigger and a little easier to see. I personally prefer this because I think it helps with my centering in game, and I think it could help a lot of you out there as well. Telemetry here, this is how you see your FPS counter, server latency, packet loss, all of that. So just set it to custom, click show more, and you can put anything you want displayed in the top left hand corner of your screen here. Moving down even further, make sure skip introduction movie is on so you don't have to deal with that every time you open the game. It's very annoying. And then we have a new setting that they just added today called inverted flash, and what it does is it basically makes it so when you get flash, you kind of get like this low light black effect, literally how they describe it here, instead of your screen just going bright white, and which is just super annoying, and you know, it can kind of cause headaches. It's so bright, right? So this setting fixes that, which is a super nice quality of life issue. I recommend everyone turn this on. And that is it for the interface tab. Now let's move over to audio. There's some new audio settings here too. So I recommend playing in PC. PC will give you the tightest dynamic range, which means low audio like footsteps are going to be louder, whereas loud audio like gunshots are going to be quieter. And then I click show more here, and you want to make sure your music volume is turned all the way down because that can be very distracting in game. I turned dialogue volume down to 50 so the operators aren't screaming in my ears all game, but it's very important to leave your effects at 100. And voice chat volume, I mean, that depends on your setup, right? And if we go here to speaker output, this is another new setting. By default, it is set to stereo, and this is the only setting you could set before today's update, but you can now change it to Windows default, which will allow you to use surround sound audio. So if you use something like Dolby Atmos on your computer, which virtualizes surround sound for your headphones, you can set this to Windows default, and now the game will actually take advantage of that. So this is super, super, super nice. And then scrolling down a little bit here, we have reduced tinnitus sound. I recommend turning this on, so when you get stunned, you don't hear that annoying ear-piercing like ringing effect. And then something I like to do here is change hit marker sound effects to classic. I just prefer how it sounds, but that's really personal preference. Like I said before, I recently upgraded to Windows 11 for the HDR. Classic, I just prefer how it sounds, but that's really personal preference. Like I said before, I recently upgraded to Windows 11 for the HDR support, so I will not be going full into detail on Windows 11 settings for you guys quite yet until. One thing I will say, if you're on Windows 11, what you got to do is settings pop up right here, the HQ under here. So click on, scroll up Windows 11 down in.
Team deathmatch. Leather 1, you are clear to engage all threats.
Watching your six.
He has the lead.
I'm loading.
Enemy here!
We've lost the lead.
Throwing.
Hostile UAV active.
Requesting recon
Our
fire!
ship is orbiting the area.
Approaching from behind!
Drop their sniper. Flash inside.
strike is inbound.
I'm loading.
Fire alert online.
Requesting recon flyover.
Copy that. UAV is on station.
Fire, asshole!
UAV being refueled. RTB at this time.
Hostile UAV overhead. The enemy has the lead.
Basic, cut fire!
The enemy is gaining ground. Push them back. Hostile UAV in the sector.
Got your cover.
We've secured the lead. Hostile SAE near your position.
Flash out.
Be active.
Got hostage!
Cruise missile launched.
Loading!
Dropped their sniper.
Hostiles deploy the bomb drone.
Switching mags. Flash grenade.
This one's dead! Switch it back!
Changing mags. Switching mags. Taking effective fire. Subject incoming. I'm loading.
Changing max!
Requesting recon flyover.
Copy. UAV orbiting the AO. Recon is online.
Visual on attack. Frag out!
Covering you.
Be advised, UAV is exiting the AO.
Hostile UAV in this sector. Hostile UAV active.
Drop them!
Hostile mortar strike incoming. We've lost the lead. We're losing ground.
Throwing flash grenade! Drop them!
Mission is complete. Good work.
GG.